Wisconsin is rich in water. It is a major source of both our state's industrial strength and its beauty. Most of our rivers join the Mississippi, but one major waterway drains into the Great Lakes. It consists of the Wolf River, the Lower Fox, and Green Bay. The waterway flows over 300 miles through the heart of northeast Wisconsin. As the Wolf River, it flows clear and fast. Later, as the Lower Fox, the main stream languishes in the industrial valley. By the time Green Bay accepts its flow, it is one of the dirtiest rivers in America. This waterway nurtures an industry. It offers us its bounty and its serenity. It touches the lives of over 500,000 people. The Wolf rises in Wisconsin's high country. At first, it flows easily, winding its way through the Nicolet National Forest. Then in Langley County, it comes alive. Plunging over ledges and glacial boulders, the Wolf drops some 8 feet each mile in its rush down the northern granite shield to the sand plain. For some 100 miles or more, the Wolf runs unbroken. It's a rare thing, this river. It runs free and untamed as it has for centuries. Only once was its economic potential exploited. At the end of the last century, lumber companies used the Wolf to deliver logs from forest to mill. They built dams and bridges and logging camps, and with dynamite blasted their log jams. Today, the river is quiet again, wild again. The state of Wisconsin is now buying land along its banks to preserve its wild beauty. For Cap Bittner, a long struggle has ended. Though he shared the dream of saving the wild wolf with many others, he held it more intensely than most. The oldest son of a log driver who settled on the banks of the river he once worked, Cap was born just as the new growth of timber began to heal the scars of the loggers. For most of his 65 years, he's lived within half a mile of his birthplace. Cap makes his living selling trout flies to fishermen who come here from all over the Midwest. He buys his stock from his friend and neighbor, Ed Haga.
Here's the box for my order for flies for today.
Yeah, well, let me put it over here. I'll get him after a while.
No hurry.
Finish this fly.
I want to stand here and watch you tie the end here anyway.
It's a real good fly.
Actually, the fish looking up sees that black body more than anything else. But that's what the fisherman is interested in when the fish hits.
For 30 years, Cap has kept a daily record of the temperature and water level of the Wolf. This is now important reference information for the Department of Natural Resources.
There are more and more people becoming aware of the importance of clean environment for the people to get out in, to camp, to fish, and to relax in. To me, it has a special importance because it's something that I never wanted to see ever change, and it has changed very little, which I'm very thankful for. I practically dedicated my life to keep it in its natural wild state and unpolluted.
Resort development never gained a foothold along the Wolf. Cap Bittner and his allies fought against dam construction, real estate development, pollution, and other threats. Today, their victory is sealed by the State Department of Natural Resources. Parts of the Wolf in Langley County will be preserved for those who can enjoy it without changing.
Hi, Cap.
Hello there, Bob. How's it going?
When you're first a young man, you think in order to prove that you're a trout fisherman, that you got to constantly catch a limit of trout. And as you get middle-aged, You are proficient enough that you can constantly catch limited trout because you have learned. But you wonder why you are keeping them.
Okay, give me a couple of those.
And then as you get older than that and you get to my age, now I wonder why I keep any trout. Because I want to fool some wily old trout, and after I have subdued him and brought him to net, the glory is all gone.
For tonight, and if you don't get nothing with that, you come back.
He soon could be a dead warrior, but I'm going to give him another chance. Well, it has not lost any of its fascination. It brings back a lot of memories, some of the old loggers, and my father, who was an early logger and a log driver. As I ponder and sit along this river and do some thinking, I'm reminiscing. I'm thinking back. I think back of when I was a boy and how we used to be out there swimming. You have time to really do some soul searching when you're around the stream like that. Outside of that, you don't hear the angels sing. That's the closest you will ever get to heaven, when I'm out there entirely alone on the river. That's as soothing as it could be. On still nights, you can hear the roar of the rapids sometimes as far as a mile away from the river. It's a lonesome sound. It's a pleasant sound. It's a relaxing sound. It's just like it's singing you a song of something that your soul can't comprehend what it's all about. But it's medicine to the soul is what it is.
The Wolf is still a wild river through the Menominee Indian Reservation, and its status has some protection by tribal law. But south of Kashina, the Wolf changes. Its power now spent, the river moves slowly across the central sand plain. The forest thins, and the riverbank takes on the look of civilization. By the time it reaches Lake Poygan, the Wolf appears coffee brown. Yet the water is still clean enough to support a diverse fish population. At Winneconne, where millions of pine logs were once sorted for the sawmills of Oshkosh, the local trade is now recreation, and the spawning runs of walleye and white bass attract fishermen from all over the Midwest. Just past Winneconne, the Wolf is joined by the Upper Fox, a stream about half its size, yet carrying much more silt and nutrients from farmland. A few miles downstream, the river flows past Oshkosh into Lake Winnebago. The water here is warm and shallow, and with its farmland nutrients and urban waste, the result is a hotbed of algae and weed growth. But in its next 40 miles, the waterway's burden is even greater. The river is the life's blood of the region's economy. On no other river in America are the paper mills so densely concentrated. The 20 mills and their suppliers employ 35% of all workers in the Fox River Valley. Almost everyone in the valley depends in some way on the paper industry for a livelihood, and thus depends, too, on the river. Walter Cloud is a second-generation paper maker. Like his father before him, he is president of U.S. Paper Mills. Since 1971, he has also been its principal owner.
Well, I've worked here since I was 16 years old. I used to work here when I was in high school. I rode my bike over after school and tended cutter and drove truck and did all of the things that young people usually do. I've sold paper, and at one time or another, I've probably turned every nut and bolt in the plant. I've been here for 40 years. Like most paper mills in the whole world, this paper mill is built on the water, being here on the Fox River.
The mill pumps water directly from the Fox into a reservoir. Running in a closed recycling system, the water is first used to break down the raw material, waste paper, into pulp. From here on, the water, over 3 million gallons a day, is used mainly to move the pulp through the plant. As it approaches the paper machine, the pulp is 99% water, 1% fiber. The task of the machine is to remove the water so that at the other end, the product is 5% water and 95% fiber. Essentially, the process is the same in every mill along the Fox River.
Well, I don't think there's any question that the river is cleaner today than it's been for 14 years. I don't think there's any question that the river will be cleaner in years to come. And I think that paper mills and paper people are most concerned and have shown their concern in the progress that's been made in cleaning up the river. But I don't think it's unreasonable for industry to clean up their share of the impurities in the water. I think it's been a marvelous opportunity to start out here working at the most menial of jobs, and sometime before my lifetime is over, ending up by owning the plant. Hello. I would hope that this little business can continue to be successful and to grow, and it isn't inconceivable that it could go on for several generations. It's a, quote, typical American story, I guess.
The heavy water demand of the mills and over 200,000 people places the Lower Fox among the most industrialized rivers in the world. Unfortunately, the river has almost no capacity to cleanse itself. A fast-moving river like the Wolf contains oxygen needed to break down organic matter. But a system of locks and dams makes the Lower Fox little more than a series of impoundments. Oxygen in the water is low, and on the river bottom, highly organic sludge deposits accumulate. In recent years, the mills and municipalities have spent millions to treat their wastewater. But problems remain, and the Lower Fox is still one of the dirtiest rivers in North America. The Lower Fox empties into Green Bay. Despite all the problems delivered to it by the Fox, the bay is still a significant resource. To the Merrick Brothers, it means their livelihood. They are perch fishermen. Each weekday at 7 a.m., they make the trip from downtown Green Bay out to their nets. Since 1917, this has been the daily routine for Frank Merrick. Today, his nephew Bob is in charge of the fishing operation.
Now I'm already looking forward to going out in the bay tomorrow, because I know we got 18 nets out there that should have fish. So you look forward to going out there and seeing it. It's just, it's a challenge.
There are more than 50 commercial perch fishermen licensed on Green Bay, but only a handful are full-time operators. The Merrick family has been in business since the 1890s.
This was my life's work. That's all I ever knew, you know, was commercial fishing. Well, ever since my grandfather started fishing, my father fished too, and that's how I got started. I started making the nets, you know, for them, and that's how I got started.
The Merricks net an average of 2,500 pounds of fish each day. The catch includes lawyers, bullheads, and other species, but the most important fish is perch. A good day will produce 500 pounds of perch big enough to keep.
My job is to run the fishing end of the business, run the boat, keep track of the nets out in the bay, make sure there's gas for the boat, stuff like that. You keep working at it. It's a job. You gotta keep following the fish. No regrets about the business, about the fishing end of it, that is.
Because of pollution, competition from alewives, and increased fishing pressure, the perch catch from the bay is down from an annual 2 and 3 million pounds in the early 1960s to about 500,000 pounds in the mid-70s. The Department of Natural Resources is considering new rules to increase the perch population. The Merricks feel that too many regulations may make it unprofitable for commercial fishermen to continue.
Our only problem is the DNR, whether we're going to be able to stay in business or not. That's our problem. We could, as far as nature, she'll always provide out there. DNR will take away. That's as simple as that.
What makes the Merricks' business especially unusual is that most of their catch is sold in their own tavern, which they've operated since 1960. Fish is served each Wednesday and Friday night. Members of the family take care of the dining room and the kitchen. In addition to his job on the boat, Bob is also the cook.
It's a long day. Like today, it's a long day. You know, I come in at 5 and work till 2. Wouldn't trade it. Sometimes you get a little tired of lack of sleep, but I wouldn't give it up, not if I can help it. In this tavern right here last month, over 6,000 orders of fish we sold, plus with the fish that we sold to other taverns. So there's lots of people who eat fish.
My Creole belle, I love her well, around my heart.
Friday night perch dinner is a social institution in Green Bay, second only to Packer football games. The Merricks attract their share of the market, about 800 or 900 customers each Friday, with a varied menu and low prices. $2 will get you an order of 3 fish, bread, and a couple of beers.
Around my heart, she has cast a spell. When stars do shine, I call her mine.
The crowd keeps Bob's brother Jim busy behind the bar almost every night. By day, he takes care of processing and selling the fish.
My end, this is when they come in to see that they're taken care of and iced and filleted and dressed out, and put some away for the winter, know when to and when to not. Past 7, 8 years, ever since the water quality has been improving, the fish have been coming back on their own. It's been improving right along. This year we're on our way to probably one of the best years we've had in the past 20 years.
Each week, the Merricks clean and fillet about 900 pounds of perch. Any surplus goes to a fish wholesaler for about $2.50 a pound.
The feed is more abundant for the fish, which is probably the most important thing. We haven't seen any Green Bay flies at all, but we see an awful lot of snails, small, soft-shell snails, which the fish are eating on at this time. That's probably why they're so healthy looking. Any fish eater from around here, a good perch eater, you can't fool them with bringing in a fish from another area. We still have the best quality perch there is in the world as far as that goes. And no way will you fool them by bringing in a Lake Huron, a Lake Superior, or a Lake Erie, or even a Lake Michigan perch. There's that much difference in the quality of the fish and in the taste. Well, it's giving the public something they really want. When you see hundreds of people wanting your product, it's a good sign you're doing a good job. There's a lot of satisfaction in that.
There's always something going on a boat, it seems. I don't know, it's just an all-around enjoyment. That's, to me, anyway. I don't even consider it work, really. And it is hard work, but to me, it's the best job there is.
Fox River will continue to deliver its load of silt and algae even after many treatment facilities are installed upstream. The new Metropolitan Sewage District plant at the river's mouth cleans the wastewater according to government standards, but still delivers a dark-colored stain to the bay. And old dredge-spoiled dumping grounds will continue to pollute bay water with highly organic mud for years to come. Yet, for many people, the bay remains an essential part of the good life in northeast Wisconsin. Larry Bittner works the swing shift at a local paper mill. He spends much of his free time on the bay.
I can go out sailing every day if I want to, and I do just about every day, and really have a good time. You know, it's an art, really, and to sail a boat, you know, it really gives a guy a good feeling. It's just a lot of fun, and it's really rewarding to go by the wind. Not just anybody can do it. Anybody can get in a power boat and turn a key and take off. You know? That's what a sailboat, you really got to know what you're doing. You really got to know where you are.
Hang on to the main!
Because there's a lot of places where the water is real shallow. There's good swimming out here. You just go out by Longtail or out by the beach here, out by Sable Point. And swimming is good, the water's warm. And another thing that's so good about the lower end of the bay, from here you can go anywhere you want. You could take off and you could go to the Bahamas if you wanted to. I like racing, I think, the most because it really teaches a guy how to sail. And down here, everybody's just out for a good time.
Are we trimmed on that jib?
Yeah.
Yeah? I think the boat looks all right. We're pretty level. I take the worst of it now. Not taking the So let that jib off. Running into the shallow water. Ready, boat?
I love being by the water. You set your sails and you just lay back and you feel the boat heel. You can actually sail around, you can close your eyes, you don't even have to watch them. You can feel the boat. It's the best feeling in the world, I think. You can close your eyes and you can feel like you're anywhere in the world.
Tom Erdman is another who lives along the waterway. Like Cap Bittner on the Wolf, he too sees something in this waterway worth fighting to preserve. He is an ornithologist whose research brings him into almost daily contact with the waters of Green Bay.
The lower bay has large populations of birds and also uniquely a large diversity of species. There's very few places in Wisconsin which can boast the numbers and types of birds that we have here, nesting and passing through in migration. Some of these birds may start migrating up in the tundra, and they may make only 3 or 4 stops in the United States on their way south. And so they've been using this area traditionally for centuries. My studies on the population right now, we're trying to get some idea on reproductive success. We're trying to map how fast the population is growing. On some of the birds out there, we have found what we call chemogenetic deformities, which we believe may be related to PCBs. And we are, of course, running samples of eggs to check and find out exactly what the levels are. But the birds are an indicator as far as what the total environment of the bay is. And by testing these birds and watching these birds, we can get some idea of the condition of the environment of the lower bay as far as what pesticide levels are and how they're affecting the rest of the species. The area of Lower Green Bay is very unique for the Great Lakes. There are very few areas on Lake Michigan or on the rest of the Great Lakes where you have a lowland area with marshes, emergent vegetation, cattails, sedges that we have along the lower areas of Green Bay. It's a place, it's a workshop. You can come out here and you can learn an awful lot in a short period of time. It's a place that I've come since the early 60s. I've watched it deteriorate. In this particular area of Atkinson's Marsh and the tank farm area, our major concern right now is filling. The I-43 Tower Bridge construction has taken quite a bit of the habitat out. The few remaining areas right now are being studied to be filled. And our major concern is that these areas will be filled and not left in their natural state. The most important thing right now, determine which areas are important for which purposes and try to preserve them. It's just a realization people are going to have to make that they have something unique out there. We take things for granted, and it's just part of making the people, the public, aware of what they have and getting them to enjoy it. Birds are very easy to monitor. They're showy. They set up nice little nesting territories. So you can, it's very easy to study behavior. It's very easy to study exactly what factors influence how they do in a year, how they reproduce. And for that reason, we have to keep doing this because it's a check. There's a lot of things we can do with birds, a lot of observations and samples and things, sampling techniques that we can do with animals and birds, which we can't do with humans. And to get a good picture of what's going to be happening to us, this is the easiest way of doing it. It's the old story like of the coal miners in West Virginia. In the old days, used to take little canaries down in cages when they were mining. And when the canaries stopped singing and started falling over, then they knew it was time to get out. And it's basically the same thing. You have to watch. Someone has to constantly be aware of what's going on. And if you don't do this, it's going to finally affect you.